everybody, welcome back to my channel and to another video. So today we're going to be turning this beautiful hat box into something a little bit more special. I'm just going to use some vinyl to turn it into this beautiful gift box. So we are using a couple of different elements from Cricut Design Space. They are available in Access and I will put the image codes up on the screen for you so you'll be able to find the exact same ones if you want to. I'll show you how to do it, how to design it, how to measure everything up and make sure it's applied straight. So let's get started. Okay, so I'm just here in Cricut Design Space. I'm just going to click on Images and then I'm going to type in the name of the frame that I'm going to use, and it's called a Spiral Flower Rectangle Frame. It is a design by Sarah Hurley. It's a really pretty design and it is the one on the top left corner just there. So if I click on the little eye, you can see the code on the screen there for the image code, so you'll be able to jot that down and use this file if you want to. Once I've got it on the screen, I'm just going to pop it in the center and rotate it 90 degrees because obviously I need it to be the other way around, and then I'm just going to flip it so that brings the flowers to the top just there. So now I'm going to grab my Happy Birthday design. It's also a design by Sarah Hurley. So I'm just going to go back into the Images tab and I'm going to type in Happy Birthday and just scroll through until I find the one that I want. Okay, so I've just got that there. Now I'm going to insert that onto the canvas. And once it's on there, I'm just going to use the resize handle to make it a bit smaller. And then I'm going to drag it into the box. I just want to flip my flowers now so that the flowers are on the right hand corner. And then once I've done that, I can center everything and just change the sizes around a little bit. So I'm just going to select everything. You can either do that by dragging like I just have there, or you can go up to the top and click on select all, and then everything on your canvas will be selected. I'm just going to go down to center now. And then you can see it looks a bit odd actually. Cricut thinks that's centered, but personally I don't think it is. There's definitely a bigger gap at the bottom than at the top. So I'm just going to adjust that manually. You can see now it's more accurate and looks a lot more centered. Now this is the hat box that we are going to be personalising with this design. I'm just going to open it up. Okay, and it's a lovely pearl finish box. So what we want to do is just measure the distance between where the lid goes on here and the bottom of the box just there. So I'm going to be looking at that is approximately 11.5 centimeters. So we want to make it centered. So if we say 11, let's go for 11. So we need the center to be around there. So we need 1. Okay, so if we make it just under 9 centimeters in height, it will fit in that space nicely. So now we've got the design on the screen and we're happy with the centering. We just need to resize. So I'm just going to use the resize handle and drag it to make it the size that I want it to be. I'm using that just to make sure that the proportions stay the same throughout the design. So now once that's done, we need to just select all. We want to go down to attach at the bottom, and all this does is make sure that when we go and make it now on the mat, the design will look exactly the same as we have designed it on the screen just there. Next we need to select our base material, so just go on to your settings and I'm going to choose premium vinyl for this project. I'm leaving my pressure at the default, and now we're ready to go and get our mat ready. So this is the vinyl that I'm going to be using for this project. It's a gold metallic finish. It's not very sparkly, it's quite a nice dark gold colour. It's really elegant looking, and that's the look that we're going for on this particular piece. So let's just cut out a piece and get our mat set up. One of the things I really like about this vinyl is that it's got this grid on the back of it, so I can use it to easily measure piece of vinyl that I'm going to need. So I'm going to just use that grid to just cut it with my knife. So the overall size of my piece is 11.6 centimeters by 9. So I've just made it a little bit bigger than that, and I'm just going to pop it onto my green standard grit mat now and just pop it up in the top corner. I'm just going to get my brayer and give it a good roll and make sure it's stuck really nicely to the mat. And that round circle that you can see there is where I've almost cut through the mat from another project. So I'm just going to make sure it's stuck down really well. So now we're ready to cut everything out on the machine. I thought I'd actually recorded me putting the mat into the machine, but I didn't. So I'm just going to skip that part. But you guys know how to do that anyway. Alright, so the cut has now finished. So I'm going to eject the mat and have a look at the cut and see how it's gone. Okay, so just looking at this design, we can see, let's get that focus, we can see that we've lost a couple of little bits, but those are pieces that we would have weeded out anyway, so it's actually done us a little favour. But the thing to remember when this happens is that you will need to just check your machine and make sure that these pieces of vinyl that are missing from the design haven't actually stuck to your blade, because that could impede your cutting next time. So I'm just going to peel it off. So let's just take it off the mat carefully, and I'm just going to show you that a bit closer. Here we go. So you can see those pieces are missing, just there and there. Everything else is cut nicely. Let's see how we get on with weeding it. I'm just going to pop that back onto this mat. I'm not going to be too fussy about where I put it, and I'm going to start to weed off those edges. So I just need to grab a weeding tool. I'm going to peel it back really carefully from there. Okay. And then I'm going to start to weed back the inside of that rectangle frame. I need to be really careful with the lettering, because that is where I think it might be difficult to weed if I'm not too careful. When you're weeding something delicate like this, just go really slowly and take your time with it. There's no rush to get it done. I just want it to stay stuck to the backing paper. So I'm just pulling back really slowly. I'm really impressed actually with how this has cut. There we go. So now let's just get rid of all these little tiny pieces. I'm actually going to grab my nail polish bottle holder for this, and I'm just going to pick off each piece and pop it into there. I'm also going to switch over to my pin pen just to pick up these tiny pieces. I do find the pin pen to be more accurate when weeding small designs like this, because this one I like, but it just doesn't pick up the little bits that we want it to pick up. Whereas the pin pen is so sharp, it just picks everything up. So now that's fully weeded, I'm just going to double check I haven't missed any little bits on there, but I don't think I have. So I'm going to flip it over and get the design off the mat again. There we go. I'm just going to pop my mat to one side, and then I'm going to get my transfer paper. Again, I'm using my favourite transfer paper here today, which is this MDP Supplies paper. Basically like a big roll of masking tape. I'm going to save that piece actually. I'm going to cut myself a little piece. I'm just going to pop my design on here. And what I'm going to do is make sure that my piece of transfer paper on this occasion is cut to exactly the same size as my design backing paper. And the reason that I'm going to do that is because I want to try and get it perfectly straight the first time, and by having that as a guide it will make it much easier to do so. So let's just put that to one side. So what I'm going to do is, this is obviously the base of my design here, so I'm going to cut this off right there and ensure that it's nice and straight. So let's just put that there. Just going to cut that. Nice and straight there. Okay, get rid of that piece. Okay, so let's give it a little grey with the roller, and then I'm using my favourite squeegee of the moment, which is this pink flexible one. Just find these to be easier to work with, they don't damage your vinyl or anything like that, which is lovely. Now that's ready to be peeled off, but what I'm going to do first is get this box, and I'm going to test a piece of the transfer paper and a piece of the vinyl on here. So I'm just cutting myself a little scrap. I'm going to find an inconspicuous place like the bottom of the box. I'm just going to pop that on there and I'm going to smooth it down, and then I'm going to peel it back same way that I would if I was putting vinyl on. Okay, so it's not going to damage the box. That's what I need to be sure of, that my piece of transfer paper isn't going to pick up any colour, it's not going to mark the box in any way, and it's not. You can see that box is perfect. So let's just grab a little bit of scrap vinyl from the weeded ball, and I'm going to actually do this with a smaller piece because I was pretty confident that the transfer paper wouldn't affect it, but I just want to be sure that this won't as well. So I'm going to put that on. And the reason that I'm trying this vinyl to make sure that it doesn't damage the box is if I mess it up putting it on, I don't want to find that when I come to peel it off it's actually going to damage the box, and I'm going to end up with a cross customer because their box is damaged. So I'm going to just peel that back now and see. And no, it hasn't damaged the box. You can see it looks lovely and perfect in every way. Okay, so this box has got a seam at the back there, so we want to avoid being anywhere near the seam with our design. So let's just turn that around. I'm going to take the lid off as well so we can see where the seam is, which is there. So our design is going to go here. So let's just get a couple of rulers just to brace this box and keep it in one place. We don't want it to roll away when we're doing it. Some people use a roll system when they're doing this, but I'm going to use my rulers. Okay, so if you remember now, we wanted the design to be 1 centimetre from the bottom, which is approximately there. So let's just get the lid and just double check that. It's always better to check. I could actually leave the lid on, I think. Okay, so let's get that nice and straight. I'm lining up the bottom of my box down here with the lines of my cutting mat. Okay, so it's going to be about there, and I'm reckoning on this as my highest point, so that'll be 1 centimetre from the top of the box, and then this will be 1 centimetre from the bottom. Okay, so let's take this off of the backing paper. So to do so, I'm just going to give it one last press down, and then I'm going to do the same on the back. Let's just turn it over. Because this is a new piece of transfer paper, I expect it to be pretty easy to get off. There we go. Now what I'm going to actually do is pop my transfer paper back on. But I'm leaving this piece of the vinyl exposed, and the reason that I am doing that is so that I can line it up and peel it away without worrying about sticking the whole design down. So let's just put that to one side and get my rulers back. Let's get these nice and straight again. Find that seam and put it to the back. Alright, so I'm happy that the box is sitting nice and straight and it's not going to move because my rulers are in place. Okay, so here we go. So I'm just going to pop that on, and then I'm going to grab another ruler and I'm just going to measure the distance between the bottom of this vinyl line and the bottom of my box. And that is actually dead on a centimetre there. That is pretty good, perfectly straight. Alright, so now what we can do. Okay, so now we need to just take off the backing paper again. So I'm just going to lift back my design. I'm keeping it where I want it with my fingers. Okay, that is out of the way, and then I'm just going to smooth it down, and I'm going to use the same technique that I use when I'm doing a balloon. So I start in the centre and give it a good press down, and then I move outwards on the design, and that just prevents wrinkling of the vinyl. Now we've got to peel it back, so just fold it back nice and close to there. And the problem that I think we're going to have is that this is a very shiny surface and it may not stick as well as we want it to stick. But what we will do is just give it a really firm press down with nice clean hands. So that looks so beautiful. Let's just give it a little press down. I'm just going to make sure that everything is nicely pressed. That looks absolutely stunning. How lovely is that? Would you be pleased to get that with part of your birthday gift? Inside this beautiful pink pearl box with this really elegant gold design on it. I think I'd keep it forever actually. So I hope you have enjoyed this video and that you found it useful. If you have, I'd love to see you for the next one, so please don't forget to subscribe. Drop me any comments or questions you may have down below. I always answer them as soon as I can. So all that is left to be said now is have a great week. Take care of yourselves and I will see you on the next one. Bye!